so much rhymes. From Spam to Van. Van Connor joins us once again, one of the country's leading film critics, and our Freeview Man Friday each and every week here on the overnight show, talkSPORT Extra Time. Good morning, Van. How's your week been? Have you ever tried Spam?
Do you know, I have never tried Spam, Mr.
Well,
one of those. You just don't. It's not a thing. It feels like it's something for the older crowd. Like from the 80s onwards, I
thought you guys are like all that retro stuff. The fact that it comes with a ring pull can, you plop it out on the plate, you can fry it, you can eat it raw from the tin. Not raw, it's cooked already in the tin. Anyway, I'll be sending you a tin of Spam as well at your earliest convenience after we get some Freeview film recommendations for you, starting with one that I spotted for tonight. You nicked it first. 10:35 p.m. tonight on BBC One. Nicole Kidman, The Destroyer.
I think you might remember a couple of years ago, Paul, when we did one of the Oscar nights, and I think I wouldn't shut up about how this had been completely ignored and was one of the best movies of the season. This was Nicole Kidman's hard-boiled revenge drama. This is a little bit man on fire. This is a little bit internal affairs. There's so many different facets to this. It is this really harrowing sort of post-undercover drama. Nicole Kidman is the grizzled sort of retired cop who comes back into the fray. She's had a breakdown. She's had a hard life. She's succumbed to alcoholism, drug abuse, things like that. And this is all stemming from some trauma in her past that then comes flooding back when the gang that she was sent to infiltrate undercover as a rookie cop and a mission that went spectacularly wrong comes back in the present day. The leader reemerges. He's played by Toby Kebbell, and she mounts this one-woman revenge mission, initially posited as a sort of detective mystery that quickly devolves into this man-on-fire-like crusade, all played by a grizzled like you've never seen her, Nicole Kidman, under the direction of Karen Kusama. This is on BBC One tonight at 10:35. It is phenomenal.
Good stuff. You've got a clip for us, I think.
I have got a clip for you. This is Nicole Kidman being brought back into the investigation. This is her being presented with evidence of the gang that she thought was long since out of the picture.
Brilliant stuff. It's Destroyer. It's 10:35 p.m. tonight on BBC One. Enjoy.
Hey, Val, look, this is handled.
What is this?
Well, you want us...
Yeah, come on.
Shot 3 times at least from the exit wounds right here.
What's that?
38 dropped at the scene. Maybe a ghost gun. No serial, no prints. No witnesses yet. Look.
Am I wasting your time?
City's time. You have no role here. It's our scene.
Who is it?
No ID, no idea. There's a few of those, blown dye pack. We're waiting on tech.
Good film, that is. 25 to 11 tonight on BBC One, Destroyer. I've gone for something from the 80s, one of the defining movies of the 80s, a David Lynch classic. It's from 1986, so it's 35 years old this year, unbelievably. 11 tonight on Film 4. It's Blue Velvet, starring amongst many others, Kyle MacLachlan, Dennis Hopper playing a terrifying kind of bad guy. And it starts with the discovery of a severed human ear. And then it gets really weird after that. One of the great opening scenes when the camera pans down to this lovely fantasy of America's suburbia into insects eating insects under the lawn. Very strange film indeed. Now it's on Film 4. I was going to mention as well, folks, if you like your Bogart movies, there's some classics on tonight's kind of Bogart Day today from 12:35. They've got films like The African Queen's popping up, The Caine Mutiny, that kind of film. Other old films like Sirocco and Sahara's turning up as well. But my recommendation, 11 tonight, one of David Lynch's classics. I mean, he's made some weird films that I didn't like, but I love this. I love Wild at Heart with Nick Cage. I absolutely love Mulholland Drive. Are you a Lynch fan, Ben?
I am. I quite like David Lynch. His documentary a couple of years ago was really incredible. There was a documentary, a sort of biographical portrait of the man. It was about 2 or 3 years ago. That's definitely worth checking. I think it's David Lynch, My Life in Art, I think it's called. But that's fascinating to watch. The man has quite the imagination. I will say that, Blue Velvet is one of the most twisted movies ever made in my mind. It's also one of the best movies ever made. So I'll never hear Roy Orbison the same way, ever.
We might play some Roy Orbison for you later on, but right now here's the trailer for 1986. She Wore Blue Velvet.
Now it's dark.
Are you the one that found the ear?
One name that keeps coming up is this woman singer.
The first thing I need is to get into her apartment.
I don't know if you're a detective or a pervert.
Do you
like the way I feel?
I still can see blue velvet through my tears.
It's a strange world, isn't it?
Also on Amazon Prime or Netflix, if you're a subscriber. Have you ever seen the shorts he made in which a monkey, possible wife murderer, is being interrogated by a 1940s cop?
I have seen these. They're insane. Like, one of those things, you just sit like, who else? But I'll be honest, around the point that they start getting David Cronenberg to turn up on Star Trek this last year, my immediate takeaway from that is, when can we get Lynch on this? I feel like we need to complete the set.
Marvellous stuff. Anyway, you've got another great film for us, a homegrown movie, but with a bit of The Rock, Dwayne Johnson action. 9 o'clock, Channel 4 tomorrow night. Now, we've interviewed on this show the woman on whom this film is based. Remind us what Fighting With My Family is about from 2019. Stephen Merchant's finest hour so far.
Yeah, Stephen Merchant directing here, because obviously he had a friendship with Dwayne Johnson going back to The Tooth Fairy from 2009, I think, which is an unappreciated family classic. But this is, the story behind this is The Rock was in London filming Fast and Furious 6. He was in his hotel room one night and he happened upon this documentary on Channel 4 called Fighting With My Family, which chronicled the Knight family out of, I think Norfolk. Yeah. And they ran the World Championship of Wrestling, I think it was called, and the son and daughter of the family would go up for WWE tryouts at the same time. The daughter would get in, the son would not, and this would lead to a short-lived rift within the family, and he would start to spiral, whereas she would find immediate success, but then have trouble dealing with said success and all the pressures that came with it. And this is the story of Paige. This is the story of the daughter of said family, but also nicely sort of frames the family as part of the narrative as well. She's played here by none other than Florence Pugh, just before her star would get shot into the stratosphere with the likes of Little Women, Midsummer. Of course, now she's part of the Marvel Universe as well. You've got Nick Frost and Lena Headey as the parents. She was
Cersei in Game of Thrones, wasn't she, Lena Headey?
She was, yeah. This is their kind of their chance to sort of leap out and steal the show. But rather like the real life couple absolutely do in any interview you ever see of them, they steal the show here as well. And I've got a clip for you. This is on Saturday night film on Channel 4, at 9 p.m. Kind of the perfect time for it. And I've got the perfect clip just to sum up for you, with Lena Headey and Nick Frost having what can only be described as the most awkward meet the parents dinner ever with their son's future in-laws, played here by Stephen Merchant and Julia Donaldson.
Anyway, I came back to the flat one night and there was guns, money on the table, everything.
So there was guns and money? Guns and money,
yeah.
Right.
You've done a job, haven't you? And I looked at him.
The look said essentially, Ricky, turn your back on crime, otherwise I'm going to turn my back on you.
And he did.
That's what I did.
Never looked back. Some people find religion, but wrestling, we found wrestling, didn't we? It was our salvation.
We found each other and all.
Yeah.
It's a tale as old as time itself, babe.
Oh.
No. Not this now, please.
When Two Worlds Collide. It's a very good, very funny film. If you've not seen it, tomorrow night, 9 o'clock on Channel 4, Fighting With My Family. My recommendation is a little bit left field. It's been a while since we mentioned Talking Pictures TV. I've gone for a 3:15 tomorrow afternoon. It's called Dead of Night. It's one of those, I think they call them portmanteau films. It's got 3 or 4 mystery stories in it, including one of the scariest stories ever filmed. A variety of directors worked on it. Michael Redgrave's in it in The Best Story, which is about a man who becomes guided by his homicidal ventriloquist dummy. So it's like an early version of that great William Goldman written film Magic with Anthony Hopkins from the 1970s. Really interesting film. One of the stories is funny. There's a kind of framing device for it. It's a lovely old black and white British film. It's from, I think, 1945, and it's called Dead of Night, 3:15. But my other recommendation, that's horror. This is Horror Meets Agatha Christie. It's on the Horror Channel, Sunday night, 9 o'clock-ish, loosely based on Agatha Christie's great 1939 novel, And Then There Were None. This film with John Cusack, loads of other people, including Ray Liotta. Amazing cast in this. Rebecca De Mornay's in it as well. Some great people. Directed by Jeremy Mangold. Basically, they're in a motel, isolated, temporarily cut off from the rest of the world, and you know what's coming. They're mysteriously killed off one by one, and several events which take place in the hours before their arrival are introduced at key moments, and you start to think, something strange is going on here. Something almost M. Night Shyamalan. It's Identity. It's from the year 2003. One of my favourite horror films of the last 20 years. Here's the trailer.
What happened at the motel? People started dying.
What's going on?
Go in your room and lock your door. And then their bodies, they disappeared. Nobody in there.
That's not possible. I saw what happened. We all saw what happened.
This doesn't make any sense.
Maybe there's some connection between all of us.
Like what? My birthday next week.
Me too.
Me too. Yeah.
Now, I mentioned earlier on the film Ford versus Ferrari, and before we had our chat about also known as Le Mans 66 here. James Mangold directed that. He also gave us the Wolverine and Logan, and the great movie Walk the Line, Copland. Identity had mixed reviews when it came out, but it's become, I get the sense it's become a bit of a cult classic with its own following. Do you rate it as a movie?
I do, but I did at the time as well. Now, you got to remember that when it came out as well, it was opening opposite, like, Lord of the Rings, Return of the King, and Kill Bill.
Sure.
Kill Bill Volume 1, I think, was the one this opened opposite. And Volume 2 was a year later after. But it opened at it's one of those things. It's like License to Kill. It opened at just the wrong time. It opened amidst too many big, huge movies that it couldn't ever possibly hope to match up against. And you see, there was a very similar film recently called Bad Times at the El Royale. Not similar sort of in tone, but in terms of its setup.
That's what the kind of claustrophobia and people thrown together in a motel kind of thing.
And you find that these films need a quiet release schedule they do find their fans later on. El Royale has as well as Identity, but finding a slot on the horror channel and stations like that is where this has now found its audience. It's notable Identity's never become a hit on streaming, strangely enough, but it is a film that always gets an audience on telly, which is strange. I can't figure out why this isn't a mainstay of, like, Netflix. I assume it must be something to do with whoever distributes it. I've not looked it up offhand, but I assume the studio who control Identity just don't have a streaming setup.
And the great thing is, it's on Freeview this Sunday night. It's on the Horror Channel. I think it's either 9 or 10 o'clock. Can't remember which one. But there is a Horror Channel Plus one, so make sure you set your record for that. And your final recommendation is, well, it wouldn't be a Van Connor Freeview film weekend without something verging on the rom-com storyline. And this isn't exactly a rom-com, but it's a rather fine film. My daughters love this movie. Tell us about Coyote Ugly. ITV2, 5 to 7. Go on. Girls dancing on the tops of bars. What's not to love?
Right, you know what? I guarantee you, your daughters and Rebecca Perfect will have said the exact same thing on this movie, which is, this is the quintessential viewing for anyone who was a teenager between 1995 and 2010, effectively.
Yeah.
It is the story of Violet, played by, I think she was kind of a new discovery back then, Piper Perabo, who's become kind of a relatively consistent TV actress.
She was in Charmed, wasn't she, for the longest time, with Shannon Doherty, the kind of three witchy sisters drama.
No, she looks a lot like Alyssa Milano, who's in Charmed. She went on to a series called Covert Affairs, which was a sort of Alias knockoff with a rom-com element to it. Starred Oded Fair on the USA Network for like 6 years or something. I never really got the chance. You can tell I clearly looked at this one up. But she plays Violet here. Violet is the New Jersey girl, daughter of a toll booth operator who goes to the big city in search of her dreams of being a prolific songwriter and gets a job, well, working at the Coyote Ugly bar, which I've never been sure whether or not the bar came first or the movie came first, but they seem to have erupted around the same time. But it's like a rock-themed bar in which women get on the fully clothed women, it's worth saying, get on the bar and dance to Def Leppard as they pour your cocktails, or more specifically beers, because I don't think cocktails are a thing in this venue. She falls head over heels in love with Adam Garcia, but is afraid to pursue it. He representing the sort of challenging elements of her life, trying to get her out of her comfort zone and pursue her dreams, etc. And she's also got the concern over the ailing health of her father, John Goodman, to deal with as well. It's actually a really romping, feel-good, sort of coming-of-age movie set in the big city.
Great soundtrack as well. Great soundtrack.
Of course, because it's all about that Leanne Rimes song, Can't Fight the Moonlight, which was arguably more successful than either the film or the bar, I would say.
And it's ITV2, 5 to 7. Tell us about the clip, Ben.
So I've got a clip for you. This is Violet and Adam Garcia's love interest character having it out as she refuses to, follow her dreams.
You can't fight the moonlight.
Kevin, what is your problem? Look, I'm sorry about tonight, but look at this. There was no way Lil was going to let me out.
This is not about Lil. This is about you and this place.
This is my job.
It's a goddamn sandbox for you to stick your head in.
What is that supposed to mean?
The place is a joke. All right? They don't come to watch you sing. They come to watch girls shaking it on a bar.
And what would you have me do? Sing for quarters in the park?
Well, at least you'd be singing your own songs.
I told you I can't do that, so stop pushing.
I'm just asking you to try. But I guess that's asking a bit too much.
And tell us where we can hear you, and Rebecca Perfect, whom we've mentioned, is with us every Monday in podcast form, Ben.
You can hear us in less than an hour and a half's time on podcast platforms everywhere on this week's edition of The Off-Screen Show, your ultimate guide to everything movie-related for the next 7 days, theatrical, streaming, Freeview, the works. And
to give you some interesting dreams as you head up the Wooden Hill to Bedfordshire, 11:05 tonight on Film 4 is Blue Velvet. Who doesn't love a bit of the Big O?
A candy-colored clown they call the Sandman tiptoes to my...